In today's webinar, we are going to learn unit testing in AngularJS. Before we move ahead and learn unit testing in AngularJS, also we'll see that how we can create a simple calculator application, JavaScript-based calculator application following test-driven development paradigm. Uh, Before we move ahead, a few important points I would like to discuss with you. That if you share your webinar experience with us using hashtag Infragistics, or if you want, you may tag Infragistics official Twitter handle as well. It would be great for us, and if you do that, you may have chance to win some cool goodies from us. Recording of this webinar will be available by Wednesday, which is should be available by Wednesday on Infragistics blog. Once webinar is available on Infragistics blog, all of you would be getting email notification for that webinar recording has been uploaded. All of you are entitled to get a 30 days trial by downloading the product. Any of Infragistics product you can go and download and use that, evaluate that for free 30 days. And if you have any queries, sales related query, feel free to send that on sales-india@infragistics.com. And if you have any technical queries, you can anytime send me email or tag me or tweet me, and I will happy to help you. So these are a few important points. Feel free to note it down that sales-india@infragistics.com is your important email address, which will help you relate any sales related stuff with Infragistics products. Here I am, host of today's webinar. My name is Dhananjay Kumar, and I work as developer evangelist for Infragistics. I am 7 times Microsoft MVP. If you are active on Twitter, feel free to connect with me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is debug_mode. And if you have any technical queries, or any sales related query as well, you may want to send me email on dkumar@infragistics.com. I very often blog on various technologies, and you can read my blog on dkumar on debugmode.net as well. So this was some of the housekeeping, and let us go ahead and start focusing on agenda of today's webinar. But before we move ahead, I would like to, if you don't know, I would like to introduce you about Ignite UI. Ignite UI is Infragistics product, which is a jQuery library, and it very well get integrated with your AngularJS, Knockout, ASP.NET MVC, and Bootstrap. So feel free to take time and go to igniteui.com, and you would find all those responsive and high performance oriented grid, hierarchical grid, combo, charts, data visualizations, and everything. And if you again have any query related to Ignite UI, feel free to reach us on the same. Great. So let us see that what is the agenda of today's webinar. In today's webinar, we are going to learn a little bit about unit testing. Then we'll see that how we can set up how we can set up Jasmine, how we can work, how we can write tests for JavaScript functions, and then we'll move to AngularJS, setting up Karma, then running tests for AngularJS controller, AngularJS services, and then we'll see in that how we can test, write unit test for $HTTP service. So this is the agenda for today's webinar, and we will proceed in very step-by-step manner. This is the environment which I am using, which is on your screen, that I'm using Visual Studio 2015. I am going to use npm to install all the dependencies. It means that I already have Node.js installed on my environment. And we are going to use Jasmine testing framework, JavaScript-based testing framework, to write all the tests, and we'll be using test runner Karma, which is provided to us by AngularJS team to run the test. Well, so before we move ahead, let us give some time to understand what is exactly unit testing and why we need it. I hope my voice is clearly audible to all of you, and you are able to see my screen clearly. Please let me know using your Q&A panel that whether my voice is clearly audible to you or not. Is it audible, my voice? Please use Q&A panel to let me know whether my voice is audible to you or not. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. I was just cross-checking that so that we are on the same page. So what is unit test? Unit test is nothing but a piece of code which you write as a developer to test behavior of the function which you are implementing. So for example, if you are implementing add function inside a calculator application, the expected behavior of that add function would be that when you pass 5 and 6, it should return you 11. How you are going to test that behavior? For sure, you may not want to wait till this function got integrated with all the other components of application, and then you are doing the integration testing or UI testing. Because if you do testing at that time, it would be very late and it would be very tough to again come back and fix those problems. Of course, you can come back and fix those problems, but it would be a costly affair. So what unit test does that it says you to test behavior of the function which you are implementing then and there in the isolation. So your function would not be dependent on any other functions of your application. You will test behavior of that function in isolation, and when you do, and to do that, you write a piece of code, and that is known as unit test of that function. So unit test is a piece of code which tests behavior of a function or a class. Unit tests are written by developers. So whoever is implementing that the functionality is going to create unit test for that particular functionality. Now these are the advantages of unit test. I'm not going to read them for you. I'm sure you already know that, but I have put them on slides. Later you can download them and read them. But majorly advantages are that it helps you to reduce bugs in production. It helps you to reduce debugging time, and etc. etc. Great. So that was about unit test. Now let us see that what we are going to use today. We are going to use Jasmine, we are going to use Karma, we are going to use ngMock, and we are going to use Chrome browser. ngMock is a AngularJS library given to us to write unit tests for AngularJS applications. Jasmine is a JavaScript testing framework, and Karma is a test runner given to us by Angular team. So these four components I'm going to use. Before we move ahead, let us see that what is Jasmine. You can see on your screen that Jasmine is a behavior-driven development testing framework for JavaScript. It does not rely on any browser or DOM or any JavaScript framework. Since it does not rely on any browser, you can very much use Jasmine to write unit tests for your Node.js application as well. So that's why it is suited for websites, Node.js projects, and or anywhere that JavaScript can run. You can read more about Jasmine on jasmine.github.io, and a typical Jasmine test looks like, as you see on your screen, that you create a test suite, then you create a particular unit test. Inside unit test, you use it to create a particular specification, which you can see on your screen. Unlike any other testing framework, like for example, you have assert in any unit. Here you have expect, which will do the assertion task for you. So this is Jasmine for you. We are going to use Jasmine we are going to use Jasmine testing framework. Okay, so let us go ahead and very quickly write a testing, write a JavaScript-based calculator application adhering to test-driven development, and then we'll come back to slides again. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use Visual Studio. As I told you, you can use any ID of your choice. And here I'll go and say that, hey, create a new project for me. So here I'm creating a new project, going to web, ASP.NET Web Application. Here you see that I'm using ASP.NET Web Application, and I'll give it name as like let us say IG test. I'm IG test demo. I'm putting that on, I'm putting project on the desktop, and then I'll say and create OK. Once that is done, we are going to use empty project template because I don't need anything else. I'm just going to use web server, Cassidy web server here, and click on OK. So here I'm creating an empty project, and we are going to create a JavaScript based application which will following test driven development here. Great. So here I have created a IG test demo. You see that this particular project contains nothing. Everything is empty there. Let us go back and launch command prompt as admin. So here I have launched command prompt as admin. I'll say that cd dot dot, and I'll move directly to the location of this particular project, which is here. I'll say that, hey, cd and take me to IG test demo. Right now I'm in IG test demo, and you see that I'm in the root folder of the project. So you need to keep in mind that you got to navigate to root folder of the project, not to the solution explorer location. So here I have or rather solution location, I'm sorry. So here I am in the project template. I'm in the source project root directory, that is IG test demo, and if you do dir, these files are there, bin and projects and all those. So let's go and clear the screen. Now what I got to do, I got to install Jasmine. There are many ways you can install Jasmine. You can install Jasmine either using manage, right click on your project and you say that manage NuGet package. Other is that you can use download. You can go to Jasmine website, download files and then add them manually to your project. And there are different ways to install Jasmine. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use Node Package Manager to install Jasmine here. So before I go ahead and use that, let me check that whether Node.js is installed and configured correctly or not, and I can do that by running a npm command over here. So I'm running a npm command, and if it is showing me something, it is not giving me error that hey, it is a bad command or external command. It means Node is successfully installed on my machine. Great. So we are good to go and start installing that Jasmine dependency. And to do that, I will just come here and say that, hey, go and install for me npm install Jasmine core save dev. So it should install Jasmine inside the root folder of the project. As I told you, you can use any other way to install Jasmine and add to your project as you wish. I'm using npm. Once that is added, what I'm going to do, I'll go and press dir, and I can see that I have a node modules pack directory added here. Inside that I have all Jasmine dependencies. Okay, so once that is done, what I'm going to do, I'm going to follow a project structure in which I'm going to put all application.js file inside app folder and all test file inside test folder. So for that, I'll go and create a app folder and then go and create test folder, which I have already created here, one app folder and one test folder. Again, I'll go and put dir, and you can see that I have two folders added, app and test. Great. So once this is done, go back to your solution explorer and again click here that hey, show me all files. You can click there. So here it is showing you all files. Right click on app and say that hey, include in the project, then select bin, say include in the project. Node module, select that and say include in the project, then select obj, include in the project. You don't have to include obj though, and then say that hey, test include in the project. So this I have installed using npm Jasmine in my project and created two folders, and I added them to my project. So this is good. Now next what I'm going to do, next we need to create create a test result HTML where we are going to show the test. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to here in the project, I'll say that, hey, right click add HTML page, and let us call that HTML page as spec runner HTML page. You can give any name, you can give it test result or whatever you want. So I have added a spec runner HTML page in my project here. Next, I'll say here this page contains test results. Now what you got to do, you need to add Jasmine CSS, Jasmine.js, etc., such that you can see the result on that page. So I'll go to inside node modules, you have Jasmine core. Inside Jasmine core you have a library. Inside that you have another Jasmine core, and here you will find all the required files which you need. So very first I need Jasmine.css. I'll go and drag and drop that there. So I added Jasmine.css. After that I need Jasmine.js. So let me go and drag and drop Jasmine.js as well. Once Jasmine.js is done, I need Jasmine.html, Jasmine-html.js. I drag and drop that too. And last but not least, I need boot.js. So here I am, I have boot.js as well. So this is what we have done. We have created a Jasmine file. We are creating HTML where we are going to show the result. Great. So once this is done, let us go ahead and start writing our test and application. In the app folder, we'll go and say that, hey, add a new HTML page, and let us call that as calculator.js. Inside this we are going to put our HTML. I'm sorry, it should not be HTML, it should be calculator.js. I'm going to delete that. Okay, so I'll go right click app and say that, hey, add a new JavaScript file, and we'll call it as cal.js, for example. So here I have added cal.js. We are going to write our application in that. You can follow any naming convention, any specification for your test and application. I'm following that. If I'm writing test for cal, I'm writing test for cal, it should be caltest.js. So I'll go here to the tests and say that, hey, add a new JavaScript file and call this as caltest. So this particular JavaScript file is going to keep unit tests for cal.js. So once that is done, go back to your specrunner.html again and say that, hey, you are going to get application from cal.js. So here, drag and drop this guy here, and you are going to get your test here from caltest.js. So you add a reference of these two files as well. Great. Now let us go ahead and start writing some tests. So I'll go here and say that in the caltest.js that, hey, describe a test suite for me. So this is like this. I'm describing a test suite, which is, I'm calling it as calculator tests. Okay, so right now I have calculator tests, and if I go back right now at this point of time, keep in mind that we are implementing calculator application following test-driven development. So what I have done, I have not written anything yet in my calculator application. I don't have any index.html, any application HTML, and we are going to verify behavior of all the functionalities which we are going to implement. So here it is. Let's go to specrunner.html and run it and see that what output we are getting here. So I'm running spec.html. Great. So now you see on your screen that it is giving you that we are running Jasmine 2.4.1, if you can see on your screen. And also it is saying that we are running a test suite called calculator tests, but that test does not have any specification. It's saying that no specs found. Great, that is expected because we have not written any specs so far. So go to caltest.js again, and let us say that we are going to write a test for some, or I'll call it add. What I'm saying that, hey, create a test for add, and in that put a specification that if we pass 1 plus 1 should equal to 2. So this is your specification name. You can give any name of your choice over there. And what we are using Jasmine expect assertion, and then we are saying that, hey, calculator dot add. We are calling a function add on an object calculator. So calculator is a JavaScript object, add is a method on that object, and we are passing two parameters, 1 and 1, and we are expecting that results should be 2. So what we are doing here that, hey, we are creating a test name 1 plus 1 should equal to, creating a specification that 1 plus 1 should equal to 2. Inside that, in line number 8, we are using Jasmine expect assertion and calling a add method of calculator object and passing 2 parameters. And when we are passing 1 and 1, we are expecting that particular add method to return us 2. It's simple, right? Now, so far we have not created this calculator object, neither we have created this method. So what would happen if we go back and run test right now? So if we go back and run this test right now, what it is showing, you can see that, hey, calculator is not defined, which is expected, right? Because we have not created calculator as of now. So if you follow test-driven development, in that we follow red, yellow and green, I mean, your first your application is in red because you have not implemented your application as of now, but you have written test for that. So right now our application is in red because we have not implemented that calculator object. So let us make it green, and how we can do that, let us go back to our cal.js again, and here I'm going to say that, hey, create a calculator object for me. So I'll go ahead and say that calculator. So what I'm doing, I'm creating a calculator object. Inside that we are going to create a add method which should take function x y. Now we are just saying that, hey, it's to return always 0. We have not implemented it perfectly. Again, we will get exception, but it is like we have implemented. Now we are not getting that. We are in yellow. We are in the process of implementing and refactoring, right? So it is saying, now it is telling you, it is not giving you exception that calculator does not exist. So what it is saying that, hey, calculator tests add 1 plus 1 should equal to 2 is expecting 2, but it is passing, it is getting 0. Right, so we know we have already implemented that particular method. Only we need to go back and refactor it to return correct value. So we'll go ahead and say that, hey, return x plus y. Now we have implemented that the way it should be. Now when come back and run the test here in browser, you see that we are getting a pass test, which is saying that 1 plus 1 should equal to 2. So in this way, you do the test-driven development. What you do, you first write a failed test, then you go and implement the functionality, and then you refactor the functionality. So here it is. We just created a calculator add functionality, JavaScript-based calculator add functionality, and following test-driven development. Keep that in mind. So far, I have not created the UI component, and I'm very sure that this particular add method is going to behave as expected when we pass correct parameters. Okay, so basically that is anything which is related to UI is UI testing. Today we are not covering that. There are multiple tools out there which you can use. Today we are completely focusing on unit test. Thank you. Great. So let us come back here and again write one more test. Let us say that we want to write test for subtraction, and how I can come back here again and say that, hey, go and give me a describe sub 1 minus 1 should equal to 0 function, and let's find 10 and 1 should return 9. Again, we have written test for sub functionality, but we have not implemented it. So we'll go back and run the test again. You are getting here that calculator.sub is not a function, because of course calculator object exists but sub does not exist. You go to spec list. Here we are getting that there's one test passed, one test failed. So let us go back and implement that, and we can very easily implement that. Implementation should be very easy for us. Let's go back to cal.js and give a comma here and say that, hey, sub function xy return x minus y. Now we have implemented, so go back and run the test again. And here you see on your screen that you are getting both tests passed. So in this way, you create an application following to test-driven development. This was completely JavaScript-based application. So keep in mind that there's one problem with this approach. The problem is that each time we are changing code, we got to come back to browser and refresh it to see the test result. In a real project, in a big project, you may not want to do that. You want some automated tasks should get executed maybe on command line whenever you are changing test. or application code. And for that you have different test runners, and I'm going to use Karma for that. So first let us go and write some unit test for AngularJS applications, and then in that I'll show you that how you can configure Karma and see the results in browser and as well as on the command line. So here I'm going to take a break of 60 seconds such that you can consolidate what all we have covered. We use Jasmine to create a JavaScript-based calculator app following test-driven development here. And if you have any question, feel free to use Q&A panel to ask that. Next, we will start writing tests for AngularJS. Thank you. Great. So if you are if you are following the screen, you see that what I have done, I just created another project in which we are going to work with AngularJS. Great. So here I have created another project, and this project has nothing. It's an empty project. So again, we'll go back and to open folder and file explorer. We'll go back to this particular location in command prompt. So I already have this command prompt. I'll say that, hey, change this directory and go to IG test Angular app. Great. So we have these files already created there, and now we are going to install Angular, Karma, and Jasmine and start writing tests. So I'm already inside root folder of the project, and let us start installing. As I told you before, you can use you can use NuGet package, you can download files and add them manually and use whatever you like. I'm using npm. So very first, since we are going to work with AngularJS, we got to install AngularJS. So I'll say that, hey, npm install Angular, save. So here I'm installing Angular in my application. Great, so we have installed Angular. Next, what we are going to do, since we are going to use Karma as a test runner, which is given to you by Angular team, let us go and install Karma. So what, focus on the command that I'm saying that, hey, npm install globally Karma, save, and in the development folder, I've already installed Angular. Now I'm installing Karma. So it should take some time to install. Okay, so once we have installed Karma, next what we need to we need to install Jasmine and Jasmine Karma library. So I'll go ahead and say that, hey, npm install Karma Jasmine and Jasmine core, save dev. So I'm installing Karma Jasmine and Jasmine core. So keep in mind that what all we are installing, we installed Angular, we installed Karma, and we install Jasmine Karma and Jasmine Core. Great. So once this is done, what we need to install, we need to install ngMock. We are going to use ngMock. Now let me give you some introduction of ngMock, what ngMock does. Let us say you want to write a test for $HTTP service, which is given to you by AngularJS. How you are going to mock that? You will be mocking that using ngMock, which is provided to you by Angular team. So I'll go ahead and say, hey, ng install Angular mocks. So why I'm giving more time here, but because setting up environment is a bit catchy. So here I'm trying to show you how step by step you can do that. I'm installing ngMocks. Great. Next, you can configure any browser to test. In previous example, we were testing only in Chrome, but for big projects, you may want to test your scripts against all the browsers. So what we need to do, since we are going to use Karma Test Runner, we need to add the browser launcher, and if you go to Karma site, all the browser launcher is available, which you need to install. I'm going to use here again Chrome, so I'll say that, hey, npm install Karma Chrome launcher. By installing this, when we run Karma, it will launch Chrome and run the test. As I told you, you can install another browser launchers as well. You have for Firefox, IE, etc. So it is installing. Next, we need to decide about our project structure. Of course, you can follow any project structure. Just for purpose of this demo, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create our application in an app folder, and I'm going to put our tests inside the test folder. So that's why I have created those two folder here. If you are following other project structure for the Karma configuration file, you got to configure that. So here I have app and test again folder I have created. Now if you go back and press dir here, you can see that what all added. We added node modules, we added app tests. Inside node modules, we should have all the dependencies which we have just installed. So let us go and start writing test for AngularJS application using Jasmine, and then I'll come back and show you how you can run that test using Karma. So here, go back and again click on show all files. Let us go ahead and say that, hey, include in the project. Include this app folder in the project, then node modules, include that in the project, then go to obj. You don't have to do that. Go to test, include in the project, and then you have package.config, which is already in the project. Anyway, so I have installed, I have included everything in the project. Great. Now, next what we are going to do, we are going to, once that is done, again, we need to have that spec runner file. So right click here and add HTML page. We'll call it spec runner.html. And once that is there, in that what we can say, we will say that, hey, this is going to show us the test results. And as you remember from previous demo, what you need to do, first you need Jasmine CSS. So again, go to node modules, go to Jasmine core. I know we are repeating it, but it is good that you are getting practice again. Jasmine core, first we need here jasmine.css, so go back and put that. After that, what we need, jasmine.js. So let us go and put jasmine.js as well from here. After jasmine.js, we need jasmine.html.js. Drag and drop jasmine.html.js as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Drag and drop jasmine.html.js, and then you need boot.js. So drag and drop boot.js, which is here. Okay, so these are the Jasmine dependencies. One, the Jasmine dependencies you have added, what you got to do, you got to add dependencies of AngularJS. So for that, go to here, bean Angular, and here you have angular.js, drag and drop angular.js, and we need to go to Angular mocks and drag and drop Angular mocks.js because this ngMock module is inside angular.mock.js. Great. Once we have done that, let us go back and start writing application. So what I'm going to do, I'm going here and saying that, hey, this is here in the test folder. Let us go and create a new JavaScript file and let us call it as cal app test. So I'm calling that cal app test. T is cal app test means this JavaScript file is going to keep test for cal app.js. So here it is cal app test. Click on OK. Great. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to write a test for first we'll write a test for a filter, and for that let us go ahead. Again, you have already seen it. It is very simple. I'm saying that, hey, describe app test function. So here it is your object type. Next, line number 3, which is very important. What we are saying that, hey, before you run any test, we are instructing that, hey, before you run any test, what you do, you go ahead and load this module called my app. We got to create this module. That is an AngularJS module which we have not created yet. So we are saying that, hey, before running any test, first you load that module. After that, we are creating a test called reverse string. Inside that, again, what we are taking a variable in line number 7. In line number 8, what we are saying that, hey, before running this any specification in this test, what you got to do, you got to inject a filter, because this test is, we are writing test to unit test of filter. So what we are saying that, hey, again, this inject is part of your Angular mock, that, hey, inject a filter. Okay, and how you see this is a keyword, that $filter, and then we are saying that reverse equal to filter, which is the ngMock service, and this reverse is name of the filter which we are going to create. I repeat, first what we have done, we are saying in line number 3 that before executing any test, load the module, and then inside this particular reverse string test specification, what we are saying that, hey, inject a filter. Okay, and that filter name would be reverse, and whatever output that filter is returning, save that inside save that object inside this reverse variable which we have created. Now in line number 12, what we are doing, we are creating a specification. We are saying that should reverse a string. So we are saying that, hey, expect this reverse function object, when you pass Rahil in that, it should return you Lihar. When you pass reverse Don, is to return you not. Okay, so let me go back here and let me change it to something small. So DJ should be JD and Don should be ND. Okay, so these two tests should pass, but keep in mind, so far we have not retained the module. So if you go to spec runner and run this test, of course you are going to get exception, because we have not created AngularJS module called my app, and also we have not created that filter called reverse. So this will throw you, oh, it is saying no specs found. And why it is showing you no specs found? Because we have forgotten here to add reference of our test. So what we got to do, we got to come back here and say that, hey, you read test from cal app test.js. Once you've done that, added that reference, now you go back here. Now it is showing you that, hey, reverse strings to reverse a string. It is saying that failed to instantiate module my app due to whatever reason. So let us go back and create that. Okay, so I'll come back here. I'll take this cal app. Okay, and go to app folder, right click and say that, hey, add a new JavaScript file and give it name as cal app. Okay, so this JavaScript file, we are going to use node modules inside angular.js. So let us go back and create that filter. So very quickly I can create that filter for you. Here what I'm doing, I'm creating an Angular module called my app, which we are, see this my app we are using here, sorry, we are using over here, we are injecting loading that, okay, and then we are creating a filter called reverse, which is taking a string and just returning us reverse of that string, and we are calling that reverse filter by mocking that reverse filter here and then calling that and expecting the result. So let us go back here and now run the test. Okay, but before that, also what we got to do, we got to go to specRunnel.html and load our add reference of cal-app.js as well. So here we have added that reference. Make sure that you are adding that reference before your test reference. And now if you come back and run a test, you see that both tests passed. You are getting a passed test. Go back here and change something here, like for example, change it to JDRT or something. Now one test should fail. Now go back to your screen test again, and here you see that it is telling you that, hey, one test, so reverse string test failed, and that is expected. So we just saw that how we can write a test to write unit test for AngularJS filter. I repeat what we have done. First we are loading the module, then using the filter service of ngMock, we are mocking that reverse filter here, and then we are using that reverse filter here. Great. Now let us go ahead and write a test for controller. Okay, so and what I'm going to do here, I'm writing another describe. So what I'm saying that here, I'm writing that add controller test, so I'll call it as add controller. Okay, function, then I'm using var controller here. Okay, then what I'm saying again, using controller here, that hey, before running any test in this particular describe, what you do, you mock the controller. Okay, so I'm mocking controller here due to naming convention, since that like controller service, what variable you are creating, and what ngMock has given you to mock, if both has the same name, you can get rid of by putting underscore before and after ngMock services. So here we are saying that, hey, inject a controller or mock a controller before running any test, exactly the same way we did for filter. If you focus here, okay, and then we are writing a specification that 1 plus 1 should equal to 2. Here we are saying that, hey, there is a variable called var scope. Then controller is we are getting instance of a controller, calculator controller, which we are going to create, and then passing a parameter to that scope, then setting scope num1, num2, and scope dot add. We are calling that, and we are saying that this scope dot sum should be equal to 3. Okay, now we got to write this controller, and writing this controller should be very easy for you. But right now, if you go and run this test will fail because we have not created a controller. So what I'm going to do again, I'm going to write controller here. And you see that I'm writing a controller called calculator controller, which is using this scope approach. You can use controller as a scope, but for that you got to write unit testing in different ways. And I'm creating a function called add. Okay, and then inside that I have a variable sum, which is equal to num1 and num2. Now if you go back again to cal app test, you see first we are loading my app. So my app, that controller is part of this my app module. Then what I'm doing, I'm creating a variable for to inject that controller, and then I'm using ngMock controller here and creating object of that controller, injecting that, and then here I'm mocking that particular controller using controller service, which is part of your ngMock, then setting num1, num2, and making call to add. When you make call to add, of course, this scope.sum has been set to 3. So this test should pass. Let's come back here and run, but before that, let me go back here and say that this test should also pass. Okay, so I'll come back here and run this test. You see both tests are passed. 1 plus 1 should equal to 2. If you want to fail the test, go back and change the implementation, say that, hey, scope.num2 plus 10. Now this test will of course fail if you come back here, because we are expecting 2. Let us, oh, So here you see that it is showing you that this particular test failed because it is expecting 13 to be 3. Okay, so in this way you can experiment that. Great. So what we have done, we have written test for filter and controller. Now problem with this one problem you may notice that each time I'm changing something, what I got to do, I got to go back to browser and then refresh the specrunner.html to see the updated test result. You may not want to do that. You want that test should run each time you are changing something, and for that you need a test runner, and we are going to use Karma for that. So now I'm going to show you that how you can configure Karma, and then we'll run test using that. So let us take a 30-second break. If you have any question, feel free to use Q&A panel to ask that. We are using Visual Studio, but you may notice that I'm not using any feature of Visual Studio here. I'm using npm on the command prompt to install all the dependencies. So probably exactly the same way you can use that in Eclipse. Other question is, what is filter? Filter is AngularJS, is something inside AngularJS which takes some input and gives you some output. Sometimes we'll do an AngularJS webinar. Feel free to attend that, or you may go to Infragistics blog, and already we have done many webinars on AngularJS. You'll find details of filters there. Great. So before I move ahead, let me go back and show you that what is. Let us talk a little bit about what is Karma. Okay. So what is Karma? So Karma is a JavaScript test runner created by the AngularJS team. Karma provides helpful tools that makes it easier to us to call our Jasmine test while we are writing our code. So there's some spelling mistake. I'm sorry for that. Okay. Then Karma is a JavaScript command line tool that can be used to spawn a web server which loads your application source code and execute your test. We'll see that in action just after some time. Karma can be configured to run against various browsers. Karma is executed on the command line and will display the result of your test on the command line once they have run in the browser. Karma is a Node.js application and should be installed through npm. Okay, and you can read more about Karma at karma-runner.github.io. You have seen that we are using ngMock so far to mock different AngularJS services and controllers and filters. So ngMock is a module provides support to inject and mock Angular service into unit test. The ngMock also extends various core ng services such that they can be inspected and controlled in a synchronous manner within the test code. And ngMock is inside the namespace angular.mock. A typical ngMock looks like this, which we have already seen that. So this is about ngMock. Now let us see that how we can configure Karma. For that, let us go back to command prompt again. Okay, so we have written test for filter, we have written test for controller and ran that in browser. Now let us see that how we can configure Karma here. So again, I'm back to command prompt. I'll go and say CLS. Now we have, keep in mind that we have already installed Karma using npm. Now I just need to init that. Initialize that. So I'll run the command karma's init. It will ask me some questions that which possible browser I want to use. I say that I want to use Jasmine. Then it is asking me that, which particular framework I want to use. I say Jasmine. Then I'm saying it is asking me which browsers. I'm saying Chrome. Then it is asking that where is your application file and where is your test file, right? So we'll say that our application file is inside app folder with star.js and our test file is inside test folder with a star test.js. Okay, you remember that we created these folders and we are putting files inside that. Now it is asking me that should I test execute when source code changes. We'll say yes. So it is done. So what it is saying that it has already created a file called karma.conf.js. So come back here to our project again and click on show all file, and here you can see that you have a karma.conf.js got added. Right click and include that in the project. So for that, first we'll stop this and we'll say that hey, karma.conf.js, include that in the project. Now go back and open this file, and in this file you see that it is saying that framework is Jasmine, files are app star.js and test.js. So here you see that we have app and tests and then test.js. So calapp.js inside app folder. So app/calapp.js, and its test is inside test folder, calapp test.js, which we have created here. Okay, also we need to configure Angular here, because and we need to give information about Angular here. So what we'll do, we'll come back here and say that before these your application files, that hey, go and read angular.js from Angular folder and angular.mock.js from Angular mocks folder. So once this is done, we are good to go and start running our application test in the browser using Karma. So I'll go here and say that hey, Karma start, and if we have configured it correctly, it should launch browser for you. So here it is saying that Karma is connected, and just it ran our test in Chrome browser, and it is saying that executed 2 of 2 success. Now let us go back to our application here and let us change our test to something else. So for example, we are changing it's from 3 to 30, and as soon as you save it and come back to your application here to command prompt again, you see it is showing you that one test failed. Here it is saying that hey, 1 plus 1 should equal to 2 failed. It is expecting 30, but it is expecting 3, but it was 30. So you see that we don't have to refresh browser, we don't have to do anything. As soon as we are changing code, it is test is getting executed again and the command prompt. So this is why Karma is for. Great. So we have just seen that how we can configure Jasmine, how we can configure Karma, how we can write tests for filter, how we can write tests for controller. Now let me show you very quickly how you can write test for a service and then $HTTP. Great. So let's come back here, make it 3. Okay, next what we are going to do, we are going to write test for a service. For that, first let us create a service. So let us go back to calapp.js, and here what I'm saying that hey, create a service called player local API, and you see that inside this service we have a data, we have a hard-coded data. In next demo I'll show you that how you can bring that data from the server, but right now I have a hard-coded data here. Okay, and we are just returning that data. Now we got to test how we can test this particular service player local API, and we can test that again. Let us go back here to our test. Okay, and here we'll say that hey, describe player service test. We have created a local data var data here. Okay, then player local API, remember this is name of our service which we are testing. Okay, player local API. Then we are saying that before running any test, what we need to do, we need to inject this player local API. So player local API equal to player local API, and then we are running that player local API dot get players, and we are saying that whatever it returns should be equal to data which we created here. So right now both are same, so you can go back here and see that it is saying that 3 out of 3 success, right, in your test. Now if we go back to our application, we'll say that hey, don't return this data, rather return this data. Now you see that data are not same. Okay, here we are returning just one Dhananjay Kumar is, and here in our data we have like this many data. Okay, so of course our test will fail. So go back here and run your test again. You see that it is saying that test failed, and it is saying that both data are not same. Great. So what we are going to do, again, we'll make sure that we are returning correct data. and go back again, and in the command prompt, all our 3 out of 3 tests pass. Now let us go back and see that how we can make sure that we test a service which is actually using $HTTP to bring data from the server. For that, I will go here, and what I'll do very first, I'll write a test. I'll write a application service here. That service called Player API, what it is doing, it is returning me from this. I have created an API here. It is returning me data from this particular URL. So let us go back here, and let me show you that what that is returning. So here you go and say players, you see that I have a API, web API running there, and from there I'm getting that data. Okay, so I'm using that here, and this player API is actually fetching data from a server. So actually we are using $HTTP service here of AngularJS. Let us see that how we can write unit test to mock this $HTTP. For that, go back to our calculator app test, and what we'll do, we'll come back here, and to cal app test, we already had one describe here with player service test. We'll go and write another describe. So let me explain you one by one. It is very simple. First, we have here loaded the module. Okay. Now come back here. We are saying that service with HTTP test. What we are saying, we have a player API and then HTTP backend. These are the services which is going to mock, which we are going to mock. Here you have player API. Okay, and then HTTP backend is given to you by ngMock, in the ngMock module, which mocks a $HTTP service, and this player API, we are going to use this variable to mock our player API service. Then what we are saying that before we run any test, first we need to create object of this. We need to inject these two services. So we are saying that, hey, player API equal to player API and HTTP backend equal to HTTP backend. Once that is done, let us go and say that, hey, service test spec. Here we have a var return data. We just taken a variable. And then using this HTTP backend, we are inside that it has a expect get, which will perform the get operation. We are giving the URL, and whatever response is coming, we are saving that inside return data. Okay, so here we have mocked HTTP service and getting the result in return data. Next, what we are doing, we are making the call of the service which we created, which is player API.getPlayers, and then that is going to return us a promise. So we are saying that return promise.then whatever. So these 3 lines is you are calling the service which we created, and that result we are putting inside result. Okay, and this is from the HTTP which we are making call, which is inside the return data. Then we are flushing and saying that, hey, this result and this return data should be exactly same. Now if you go back and run your test, you see it is saying executed 4 of 4 success. Okay, so these 4 and 4 data are all the tests is passed, so we just mock that. Now let us go back here. You see that we have a factory method which is using HTTP. We have a factory method which is like not using anything. We have a controller, we have a filter, and we have written test for all of them here. And all these tests are running in the browser here, in the test runner here. Of course, you can go back and run that anytime in the browser as well. So this is completely unit test. We have written, so far we have not implemented any view or anything, and you see it is telling you that 4 out of 4 tests is running. Great. So I had these things for you in today's webinar, and before I move ahead, let me again go back to here. Of course, you'll get time to ask your questions, and I'll try to answer them. If you don't get answer right now, in the follow-up blog, when we will share with you recorded webinar, I'll share with you answer of those questions as well. Again, you can go ahead and download trial version of our products from Infragistics website. If you have any sales query related queries, send us to sales-india@infragistics.com. And for any queries related to any Infragistics product or today webinar, you can send me email at dkumar@infragistics.com. I hope you liked today's webinar and it was useful for you. Once again, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to stop recording and then I'll answer your questions. So once again, thank you so much everyone for joining today's webinar, and we are very happy to see you in next webinar. Probably we will do that on AngularJS version 2, getting started with. Once again, thank you so much. I'm Dhananjay Kumar from Infragistics and excited to see you again. Once again, thank you so much everyone.